Who are you running after?
Marty.
Marty. Yes.
Yeah. I'm getting old.
I should be easy to catch. I'm not running.
An old buck. I'm gonna be an old buck, 62.
Okay, if
Just
we just
stick
like to
around
all
here.
mute ourselves right now before we go into the live, just remember to stay muted as we go into the presentation from Susie or the discussion. And make sure if you take us around the home or your office to make sure that your camera is off and you are muted if you take us into the bathroom or anywhere that you wouldn't like to be seen. So I appreciate each and every one of you for being here. And if you could just mute yourselves now, that would be great. Excellent. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Narelle Warcon and I'm coming in from Mackay, Queensland, Australia. And I am joined by our beautiful and amazing Yvonne Mackett coming in from Perth, Western Australia. We also are joined usually by our counterpart in New Zealand, Kenton Patterson. Kenton works on Mondays and joins us along on Thursday evenings. So we want to welcome you here today. This is a guest webinar, so please be aware that this is being live streamed. Again, as I asked, if you could just turn your camera off and mute yourself if you are going throughout your home or your office and to places that you don't want to be seen. Today we have an amazing guest, but before I go over to Susie, I want to first read our acknowledgement of country. So we would like to acknowledge the land in which we are meeting on today and pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. We would like to thank them for the knowledge they share with us to look after the land and each other. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you for your time. You know, time is very precious and we appreciate each and every one of you for taking that time to come along and hear about an amazing product of ONPASSIVE called O-Staff. We truly don't understand the magnitude of what ONPASSIVE is and the products that are coming out to each and every one of us. If there are guests here today, you can raise your virtual hand. We will have a Q&A after Susie speaks about O-Staff. If you have any questions, if you are a founder here today and you do have any questions as well, please make sure that you're aware that this is proprietary information. We can't share everything here today. We do have our founders only on Thursday nights, so please come along to that. Or please reach out to Yvonne, myself and Kenton, and we will give you the link for that founders only on a Thursday night here in Australia and New Zealand. So Susie, we want to thank you for being here today. We want to welcome you. We would love you to share with us today about O-Staff, the fact where you came from, you know, a little bit about your story, where you're coming in from today, how it was meeting our CEO, Ash Mafara, the public launch of O-Staff, you know, and how it's going to fit into people's lives, whether they have businesses, small, medium or large, or whether they don't have a business. You know, how is this going to sort of help those people? So over to you, Susie. Thank you for being here.
Oh, well, thank you so much. Thanks for inviting me. It's my pleasure to be here. I think I was on one of your other webinars before, and it was very enjoyable. So thank you so much. So my name's Susie McCrae, and I come to you from Amherst, Massachusetts in the United States. And I guess I'll just give you a quick background of how I came upon ONPASSIVE and why I fell in love with O-Staff once I heard about it. So it was about 2 years or so ago that I came upon ONPASSIVE. I was part of a direct sales business, and I was looking for a way to help promote my business and for my team to promote their business. And I was in different entrepreneur groups online. And I saw a post by someone about ONPASSIVE and just a few bullets about it. And at that point, it was a marketing platform. And I thought, wow, I could put my business on this marketing platform and they would target the traffic to it, you know, qualified traffic that would be interested in what I had to offer. That would help me. It would help my team because we had done very well together, but we were kind of feeling stuck. So I jumped right on board, and the minute I heard our CEO, Ash Mufareh, speak and talk about his vision for the company, I said, this man really knows what he's doing. And I fell in love with the whole concept of that marketing platform. And as you all know, it changed from just a marketing platform into a complete online business solution as his vision has grown and the more products that have come on board. So as I've been in this process of ONPASSIVE, I've learned that my original direct sales business is not what I want to be focused on. I want to be focused on just ONPASSIVE and what it has to offer. So during one of the webinars, and our CEO, as you know, has frequent webinars with the founders, keeping us abreast of updates and products, he started talking about a human resource platform. And of course, it piqued my interest because my background, I spent over 25 years in one industry dealing with human resource items, time and attendance, payroll, budgeting, forecasting, employee appraisals, all those kinds of things. And then the second part of my career, I spent in a different arena, but still doing similar things in human resources and management. So when he started talking about it, it really, like I said, piqued my interest. And the reason why is because I've always felt that even though there were good platforms out there, none of them really talked to each other, and you needed several different softwares and several different platforms to perform the tasks and duties if you were a manager or if you owned a business. So I think Ash and I connected on that because he knew that I understood that side of the business. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there too that have been involved in businesses, human resources. They've been managers or supervisors, and they know the challenges that businesses have to run those programs and to get the full benefit of those programs. So I think we really connected because I got it right away, and I'm a very vocal person, and I spoke up in a lot of the webinars to him, and I think that he understood why it was one of my favorite product, or at least one of my favorite products. So as you know, we continued on the journey with ONPASSIVE and learned more and more about the businesses, the business, the products. I was really, really excited to see staff. And I knew the bits and pieces that he was putting together, he and his team. But when I finally saw the whole package that day, like you guys, I never saw anything really ahead of time. But when I saw the whole package, I was really so impressed, and I'll get to why I was so impressed. But first, I'd like to share, if you want me to, I can share about the experience in Boston. Would that be good, Narelle, to talk
I think
about?
that would,
Okay.
yeah, I think that would be amazing, Susie, because not too many people get to meet CEOs or companies or the founders of the company. So I think it's beautiful to share that. So thanks.
Okay. Okay, great. Yeah. So Ash contacted me and had a plan. He had everything ready to go. And he invited myself and my brother, Bob, went with me, and a good friend of mine, Lynn, who is a founder. She also went. Ash wanted me to bring family and a friend, whatever I wanted to bring. He even actually wanted to know if my parents could attend, who are in their 90s. And I said, oh, I'd love to bring them, but they're, unable to travel. I mean, that just shows you how important family is to him, and him wanting people to come and, enjoy Boston. So I brought a good friend and my brother Bob, and we went on a Wednesday, and he put us up at the Ritz-Carlton in Boston from Wednesday till Saturday. And we arrived there on Wednesday, and he said, let's meet in the lobby. We're gonna go have lobster. I said, okay, that sounds great. So meeting him was unbelievable. His wife and his 2 children were there, and he kind of surprised us around the corner, and his wife videotaped him coming in. And we were all hugging each other and everything. So he's bigger than life. He's energetic, and I felt like I've known him my whole life, and I felt like I knew his wife and his children. They made us feel so welcome. We were laughing, we got along, we went out to dinner, we had a wonderful meal. And then the next day, he had it all set. There was a production company there, videographers, photographers. He had a room all set up, and he said, let's meet. If you can meet in the room at 1 p.m., the webinar starts at 2. I said, no worries. In the meantime, there was me, Bob, and Lynn, and then there were other founders from the area who had reached out to me when they heard Ash was coming, and we kind of went through first come, first serve to come to Boston. And these are not people that I knew before ONPASSIVE. They're not on my team, but Ash, had me kind of coordinate those who had reached out to me. So we had Bud and Sandy Hawkins came, Emily came, Sonny Malix came, and Gosha came from Rhode Island. So a group of them, we all met in the lobby. Everyone got there on time, of course. And we went down to the conference room. It was all set up beautifully, with the big screen and everything. And we were interviewed if we wanted to be interviewed. So they were rolling tape, bringing us out, asking us questions. Then Ash came in and we did the webinar. And even though there were a few technical difficulties with a few things, I got to tell you, Ash kept his cool. He is so kind to everyone. There were a few glitches, but the way he treated everyone working there, helping him in the room, it was like, you should all be so proud of the temperament this man has, because here we are, live streaming, we're getting videotaped, and there were a couple glitches, but he never missed a beat. He did a great presentation. And then afterwards, we were interviewed again if we wanted to be, about what we thought. And I don't know if you all saw the YouTube video that the company put together about OSTAF in Boston, but that kind of summed up the whole visit. And then afterwards, we had dinner in the hotel at the restaurant, those who had traveled there. And I could just see the joy that Ash had, and the excitement, and just the satisfaction that we did it. He did it. It was a great presentation. Like he said, it was perfect. Even though there were glitches, he always says it's perfect. And he's just so kind to everyone and so welcoming. And when he talks to you, he listens to you, he looks at you, he goes with the flow. His children were wonderful. His wife was wonderful. Like I said, he makes you feel like $1 million. Then the next few days, I was able to, on Friday, go out to a couple coffee shops with him. And then we had dinner that night, my brother and my friend Lynn and his family. And it was, you were talking about how he likes food and he loves I mean, that gives him great joy to have us all try different foods. So we spent the night, quite a few hours at a restaurant. And then the next day we had to say goodbye and leave. But it was a once in a lifetime event that I'll never forget. And just to have someone of his, I think I said this in one of the videos I made, that he's very successful, we know that. And he definitely spoils people. He likes to have everything 5-star. You know, he says, why not? And he really, he really treated us 5-star. But I got to say, even if he could not do that, I would want to be around this man because of his personality, his sense of humor, his enjoyment of life, his engagement in what's going on around him. You can just talk to him for hours. And we didn't talk business. We talked about other things. So he's the real deal. And I just, it was a feeling I'll never ever forget. So it was great. And then once I saw O staff and got to see the magnitude of it, I really started, my mind started ticking, you know, about how many businesses and companies this is going to help. And also organizations, you know, it could be churches or libraries or, you know, a lot of times we just think business, but all different kind of groups and organizations it could help to keep track of everything. If you want, I can give you a little insight into the different platforms that I used to be involved with. I won't say the names of them, but it might give people an idea of the value. Pardon?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, Susie. I was going to say, can you expand, because you've got experience in HR, you know, expand on the comparison, I suppose, of where you were at before, you know, when you were in human resources, how frustrating it was. What were the products that you were using that were sort of frustrated? You talked about not being integrated, not talking to each other. And then what ONPASSIVE Go staff is going to bring for that. And, you know, even for businesses that people are in now, yourself, you know, you may be still looking at doing something like that, but you know the comparison. So that would be great. Thank you.
Sure. So if you have a business, you have employees, then you need a payroll system. Okay, you need a payroll system where you're able to pay people. Okay, you're able to keep track of what you're paying them. You're able to have a way for them to punch in or out or keep track of their time and attendance. That's if you have, even if you have a small business or a large business. Also, what comes with employees is performance appraisals. And most businesses do those yearly, or they have a probation period where they have a new person come on, and within so many days, they need to do an appraisal on them, which, you know, give them feedback, do a review with them. The other thing is you need a way to hire people. And how do you hire people? You usually have a system or a process where you use maybe outside vendors to post a job, and then people apply for the job. How do they apply for it? Well, you know, some people still use paper, but most people it's online. They apply for the job, and then you receive their application. You have to interview them, and then they come on board. They have to fill out their paperwork. And in addition to their paperwork, a lot of times you need to verify certain things. You have to run a background check on people. You have to, you know, verify maybe certificates or diplomas or things. So it's a lot of information when you have an employee. Then on top of that, you have usually a finance department. And when you have a finance department, especially in medium to larger companies, you have to make sure that when you're bringing on employees, it's in your budget, that you are allowed to fill a position or have the position. There's all different job titles and job descriptions that you have to keep, you know, somewhere, that information somewhere. You need to be approved to do that. Also, you need a way to, when an employee leaves, if they retire or they quit or they're fired, that there's a process when they leave. In addition to that, when employees are on board, you get that they get promotions, they get raises. They also, all of the information about them is in there. So just to give you as an example, we had one system that kept track of when an employee would go in, punch in and punch out. Okay, that's the information that was in there. And they would punch in and punch out. And then at the end of the week, it was time to do payroll. And that meant you would go into one system and make sure that all of their punches were completed. Okay, so you do a process there. If there was a missing punch, then you had to communicate with the employee to find out, why was there a missing punch? Did they do something? Why did they miss the punch? Then you have to have documentation if they were missing a punch. So now they have to fill out something. So you have to go find that form somewhere else within the company on our company intranet to get that form, fill it out, have them sign it, then download it in. So now you're doing all of the payroll. And then when the payroll is finished, then it gets transmitted into another program that goes to the payroll department that I didn't have access to. So if you're making any kind of mistakes, you're getting a phone call, and then they're trying to explain something to you that you can't see because you don't have access to it. So that was just one thing. Next, when you had someone leave, so they gave their notice and they're leaving, and I need to replace them as an employee. So now what do you have to do? You have to make sure that you can fill that position. So you have to go through, you know, the finance to say, I need a job requisition, this person leave. You had to prove that they left, and then to get the job filled. And then I'd have to wait for that to get authorized. And once it got authorized, then I had to communicate that into another system so that this was when I was a manager, not when I worked in human resources. Human resources then would get that position, and they would take it and they would post that position in a different software, so that would go to our website or to other job sites for people to fill out. So now people are applying for the job and the applications are coming in. I would have to go to another platform to look at those applications. And then once I got those applications and I wanted to bring somebody in, then I had to communicate through a different area to get the interview set up. So that was like scattered all over the place. In addition to that, if I had to order supplies or anything for the doctor's offices that I managed, I would have to go into another system to order stuff, to make sure I had a purchase order, that it was approved through finance. So it was like going on to different systems constantly that really didn't talk to each other, which is so important. One of the other things that I think medium to larger corporations and businesses are going to really benefit from OSTAF is, Ash went through this a little bit. It's called leave management, LEAVE, leave management. So as you all know, in business, when you have employees, some of them have leaves. It could be a maternity leave, a paternity leave. It could be a medical leave. It could be a family medical leave. And to keep track of those, when I was in human resources, we did not have a good way to do that because we didn't have the system available to us. So we had a spreadsheet, an Excel spreadsheet, and people fell through the cracks all the time. So you had, this person's out, they should be coming back this date. You want to talk to them like a few days before they're coming back, you know, make sure. And all of a sudden you're like, oh my goodness, they didn't do this paperwork. How did we not know? This one fell through the cracks. Other things that used to happen was we would have clinical people and doctors, you know, medical assistants, nurses who had to have their licensure every year or every 2 years. They used to have to be able to do basic life support, CPR. They'd have to be, you know, certified in all of that. And it was almost impossible for me to keep track of who was due when. So what would happen is that was another spreadsheet that someone was keeping track of, and people would fall through the cracks. So I'd get a call on a Friday afternoon, Susie, if Dr. So-and-so doesn't have their CPR or basic life support updated by Monday, they can't see any patients. And you're like, are you kidding me? How did I not know this? So you always felt like things were falling through the cracks or that you were failing in what you were doing. The other thing was performance appraisals. You know, that should be a joy for a manager or a supervisor to do for their employees, not a chore, because it's so important for people to know how they're doing in their job and what their goals are, and did they meet their goals, and how would they be, what are they looking for training and development, so maybe they can go up to the next level. Keeping track of who could do the job, who's promotable, all of those things. It was so scattered because you would have to go get information from different areas to just sit there and kind of do justice to an employee by giving them a proper review. So what OSTAF has done, and you know, just the genius of Ash and his team, is all of this is under one umbrella. All of, yeah, and it's all of the keeping of employee records. All of the information is there. So the first battle you're winning is that you're not hunting and pecking for information. It's all there. You just have to learn what tab to go under to find it. The second thing is, in addition to OSTAF, which has all these different things, they have the payroll, the time and attendance, performance appraisal, leave management, all of that in there. There will be other products linked to OSTAF. So if you watch the presentation, which was public, Ash clicked on those dots and all of a sudden other products opened up. And I caught a glimpse of one called Hire. So remember when I was just telling you how hiring, I would have to go through all of this other stuff. Just imagine that right there, I'm ready to hire. I need to hire someone. I can click on Hire. I haven't seen what that does, but I can just imagine how simple it's going to be to bring on a new employee and then onboard new employees. That's a whole other tab he has there. I mean, we used to have to, like I said, when I brought a new employee on, trying to onboarding them and having them have to look at all different platforms, all different sign-ons. This is where you go for this. This is where you go for that. Their head would be spinning along with my head sometimes because it was so convoluted. And I think I've said this before, the help desk was inundated with people not knowing where to sign on for what was their password. So just to see all those products there together, and then imagine you want to have a meeting with your staff. It's all right there. You've got O-Mail, you have O-Connect to do a video meeting. You have there's going to be O-Peer, which is another product that will be integrated into it, where if you want to do project management within a group of employees, you can put them all in there where they can be working on a project, sharing files, sharing videos, sharing meeting notes, so they know where they're at instead of having to go yet somewhere else to get the information. So I think that so many companies and all companies and businesses are going to benefit from it, because number one, it's going to make them look good to their employees, their managers, and to any prospective employees coming into the organization, because it will be organized and everything will be simple and easy to understand. There's many people who are afraid of coming into a business because of the computers or the complexity, or how am I going to learn this? I've been working here and I know all this, and now I'm going to this company. I'm going to have to learn the way they do things. It's just going to be so much easier. That's number one. Number two, it's going to help with productivity and efficiency, because instead of spending so much time wondering where do I go for what and getting that information and pulling it over and trying to bring it into another platform, and is it correct? Did I make a mistake? Are people falling through the cracks? You're not going to have that stress or that time. And the other thing is financially. Now, I know we don't always like to talk about money, but the value is that it's astronomical, the cost of what businesses are spending now, and for them to get this product, and yes, we don't know the exact price, but let's just use an example. I'm not saying please I'm not saying this is the price, but let's say the price is $300 a month. Let's just say that for OStaff and all of the other products that are integrated into it. If you go look at other human resource platforms and look at how much the cost is per employee, you are going to fall out of your chair, because a lot of these platforms can cost anywhere from $20, $25 per employee up to like $79 per employee per month. And they don't all do what OStaff can do, because a lot of these platforms, as you'll see in the when you look at the comparison to what does OStaff do versus others, we have the green check marks of yes, 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 yes. So, I mean, in addition to that, and Ash talks about this a lot, he does not like limitations. So there's always limits. You could do this many employees. So the cost per employee, if you have 10 to 50 is this, 50 to 100 is this, 100 to 500 is this, cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. So if you have a business that gets O staff and they're going to love it, the price point and everything it does, and they decide to expand, they don't have to worry about spending an enormous amount of money to expand and maybe open up other locations and bring on other staff. That will just affect their bottom line so tremendously that they'll be able to spend resources, money in other things, maybe for research and development, maybe to pay their employees more. So that in of itself is a win for any company. And the other thing Ash mentioned is with O staff, the company will have access to the C panel, which is the control panel, meaning they can customize the product to their business. So a lot of times when you have another piece of software, another vendor or whatever, they do everything. And anytime you have to call them to make a change or upgrade things, or you want something unique to your company, it's always time. You got to wait. You got to get that approved, and it's going to cost you money. So I see the value in all different ways, but mostly bottom line for companies. Employees are going to be more satisfied because when they come on board or they learn it, they're not feeling like, does this company know what they're doing? You got to be kidding me. You know, I got to do this, this, and this, and run around, and I don't know where anything is. And how do I get this? It's all going to be right there. Managers are going to be thrilled because they will spend less time doing all of that minutia kind of tedious things and not waking up in the middle of the night saying, oh my goodness, something fell through the cracks. You know, it's all going to be there with reminders and ways to remind them of different situations. And also project management will be handled so well through O staff, communication wise, just, you know, getting projects together, knowing there's also, I forget the name of it on one of the tabs, but it's so important for companies to have succession planning. And succession planning, if you're not quite clear what that is, it's okay, so Susie's leaving the job. Who's going to replace her when she retires? Who are people who have learned this, this, and this? So to be able to have that all in one system where you're able to offer people training and development and know who's ready for the next step or who is promotable. And think about this, Ocademy. Just think about how integrating Ocademy with a company where you can use that as a resource to offer training and development to your valued employees, because that's important to employees. Most employees want to learn new skills, want to learn more information so that you know, maybe they want to learn how to use an Excel spreadsheet or do a PowerPoint. They're going to be able to learn those skills through Ocademy instead of pulling someone off of something else to train them. So they're going to have all of these options. So I could talk about it all night, Narelle, but I just
that's all right, Susie.
Yeah,
no, I know that it's very exciting, and for anyone who's been in or is in HR, what you're hearing here is going to change the way that businesses do business. And particularly because of the human resource side of it, because everything is on that one platform under that one umbrella, like Susie said. You know, the thing for me, what I see or stands out is time management. You know, rather than spend all of this time for the people behind the computers, putting or going to this application, that one, this program, that program, and jumping around all over the place within a day, can you imagine the amount of time when you add it all up? in one day, it might be, 30 or 40 minutes that they're jumping from here to there. But you add that up over 6 months or 12 months, the employee is paying you to actually jump around on different applications, different programs to do what you need to do for their business. That's what I'm seeing, is that time won't be wasted anymore. It's just going to be, you're going to be in there. Every application, every tool is going to be available to you. And it's just a matter of knowing, because the other thing I heard was that, some companies paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for these applications to bring in these programs, then everybody has to take the time to learn that. Within ONPASSIVE, I can see that it's going to be so much easier because they've all got the same sort of level. And yes, there are different, I've noticed myself different, within the O staff, different like levels of management and things like that, but it's going to be there. If somebody's having a birthday, if somebody's on leave, if somebody has a holiday, or it needs to go on maternity leave or whatever, it's programmed in and it's set up, and it's almost like a set and forget in a sense. Yes, you may have to manually put things in to start with, but it's going to be so much easier. Now, Susie, you spoke a little bit about costings, and we don't know 100%. But, one of the benefits of being a founder, and coming in as a founder and then having, what's available to these people as founders, if these companies come in or a person comes in that's got a small business. I myself have been in small business over the years, and you're right. Excel spreadsheets, still don't like them today, but the old handwritten in a book, that you have to do for 7 years, right? Is not real good on storage. But, you do forget things. And if you don't write them down or have somebody reminding you, because I was not only the owner of the business, I was also the florist of 2 businesses. So I was flat strapped most days, 6 to 7 days a week. So writing down, I had, like you said, employing. I put out, I needed 2 new staff. I was opening a new business. I had 100 applications ranging from 15 to 75. Because I left the age open, I wasn't necessarily just wanting somebody I could train as a young person. I was open to those who may have had some experience prior. Now, I employed 2 young girls, as it so worked out. One was amazing, totally amazing. The other one I had to let go in 3 days. She had basically sort of lied on her because I didn't have time to follow up with a lot of the references. It was just on what I read, what I saw, you know what I mean? And the way that she had presented as far as her resume goes. Even in the interview, she had worked with an auntie who had a florist shop, but she forgot to tell me, and maybe I didn't pick up on it at that time, that she had basically done nothing within that florist shop, perhaps except scrub buckets or, cut flower ends and put them into buckets and things like that. So I'm just saying, like, big business is going to save so much, but the little tiny business, and that's why I'm saying, what is it to come in as a founder or even as a customer once we've launched ONPASSIVE and founder positions are no longer available? Where do you see that, small to medium sized business sort of fitting into ONPASSIVE? If you can share a little bit about that.
So you're saying if small businesses are not founders and they come in as customers?
That's correct. If they don't come in today and be a founder, with over
well, they're crazy if they don't.
That's right. They are crazy. Yeah, that's what I wanted to hear.
They're crazy not to.
About it.
But should they, miss the deadline, which is coming very soon, they will come on as customers of ONPASSIVE, and they will be able to get the products, and they'll be able to get O staff. Now, they will also have the option to be a reseller. Now, keep in mind, there may be conflict of interest with certain companies that aren't allowed to do that function. And I'm sure that Ash and his legal team have the verbiage that, when you become a reseller, there's certain agreements that you have to sign, terms and agreements. But if it was like someone who owned their own business, they could bring on they could become a customer, they could become a reseller, and all of their employees then would come into the products via O-Staff or whatever products, O-Connect, whatever they use. And all of those employees coming in will have to register in those products using their name and a valid email address. And those employees will now be linked to the owner of the company who is a reseller. They will all be coded to them. Now, the company ONPASSIVE will then like passively market to them because they have provided their name and their email address, and they may see something that they want. Those employees decide to, come on board with ONPASSIVE, then that owner of the business would get commissions from using the products. So they'd basically get paid for using the products and then some. So those are some of the benefits of having it. There's probably other benefits. Say a company, say you own, I'll just use an example. Say you own your own financial planning business, and maybe you have 4 or 5 employees on your team, and you decide to come in and as a customer / reseller of ONPASSIVE. You should be a founder, but say you don't make it in time to be a founder, you come on board, and then you want to hold a webinar, a free webinar to your contact list or any leads you might have. Okay, so now you send out, you have access to O-Connect. So you're going to set up a webinar, a live video webinar on O-Connect, and you invite 300 people that are on your contact list for a free webinar on maybe some sort of tax item or new law on something, or some kind of great valuable piece of information you want to share for free to either your clients or prospective clients. So you do the webinar, and all of them that come to the webinar, to register for the webinar, they need to provide their name and their email address. And when they do that first time to your O-Connect account, they are coded to you as the business owner, all of those people. And then they will be like I say, passively marketed to. I don't know if that's the correct word, but they're not going to be spammed or anything by ONPASSIVE, but they are going to hear more and more about ONPASSIVE and the different products. And should they become a customer of ONPASSIVE, then that business owner who is the reseller would benefit with commissions for that. Then they would have, as a reseller, a customer / reseller, they've got the products, they have their ONPASSIVE domain, susiemccrae.com. They can have ONPASSIVE target traffic to their website, not just for the ONPASSIVE products, but for financial planning. So they could take, I believe they're going to be able to kind of put in demographics, like I'm looking for people who have used a financial planner before, are between age 35 and 55, who own a home, who make this amount of money, who have and ONPASSIVE, who is the king of targeted traffic, will then send traffic to that financial planner's website so that they can increase their client base. In addition, they can have traffic passively working for them for ONPASSIVE. So there's just so many ways it will benefit a business owner, their own business, and then ONPASSIVE running too.
Yeah, and that sounds very exciting. And it's, you know, for people to really see that, the depth of that, you know, which a lot of people don't see it straight up because they're just looking on the surface of what can it do for them, but what more can it do for them? You know what I mean? So I think that it's really important that you shared that today about that. And I think really what I get from there is just people need to get in and be a founder, you know, right now before it closes off, because all of those benefits are going to be there for them. And you only come out of pocket once, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
that there is just is going to save them even more money. Excuse me.
And the benefits of the founders, I believe, are going to be tremendous. So to be a founder, to come on now for $97 and lock yourself in that one-time payment, we are going to receive different, I want to say it the right way, maybe different commissions, different ways of getting revenue, different bonuses that the CEO is going to offer to founders only, and to not people who wait and then become customers or resellers. You know, you put a little skin in the game now, and he knows that, Ash Mufareh, the CEO, and he's going to really treat founders special. So nothing that I really know exactly, but I believe the benefits of a founder are going to far exceed. I mean, you'll benefit as a customer and a reseller. You'll have good options, but the golden ticket is to be a founder.
Absolutely. And I think, you know, 1,200,000 founders have seen that and saw his vision. You know, the vision that Ash has and has handed down is that, you know, company with heart. You know, not only is it about the savings that you're going to have by using the products of ONPASSIVE, so many of them. And again, you can go over to onpassive.com and have a look at the products that are coming available. Once you join as a founder, then you get a back office and you're able to, right now, like each and every one of us, beta test the products as they become live and available to us. That is hugely important. You may or may not have been able to do that within other companies, be beta testing. You know, this is a huge company, legal and compliant in 212 countries. Susie, before I ask you anything more, we are going to go over to a couple of questions because I think it's good that people remember that this is a guest webinar. So just remember what you're asking, that we're only able to release certain amount because of the proprietary information. I see David Switzer has his hand up. David, would you like to ask a question to Susie?
Yeah,
Hi, David.
Hi, how you doing?
Good.
I just want to say I understand what Susie's talking about, because I used to be in the packing house, and I used to take care of the payroll, and I used to have in charge of 200 people, and I used to have to do the time cards the old-fashioned way. And then we went to after we were doing that for a long time, and I used to have 3 supervisors that used to work for me too, and I would let them go out there and take care of the floor, and I would stay in and do all the time cards so we could get the heck out of there, because time cards was a lot of work back in those days. And so anyhow, we decided we'd go to Coronas, and you know what Coronas are, right, Susie? Or
oh yeah, Kronos. Yep.
Yeah, we went to Coronas, and well, I tell you what, I had classes after classes trying to learn how to do those Coronas. And those Coronas was a lot of work, because if you get people it doesn't punch in on time or punch out late, or they didn't do something right on their times or stuff like that, you had to go in there and correct all that. And each supervisor had to go in there and do that, correct it. And you had to be really good on those times and stuff, because if you didn't correct the time or something, you can get the guy might be able to lose money because you didn't figure it out right, or you get in trouble because you messed up on the time and everything. But thank God we went to a regular payroll person that took care of all that, then it gave us more time to take care of all that stuff. But I know what those days are like because I went through all that. And one good thing about that on the production side, Susie's on the hospital side, but on the production side, it's going to be great for the supervisor because the supervisor is going to be able to keep track of their employees on each area. Like the supervisor's got each area he's got to take care of. So anyhow, it's going to be great for a supervisor to keep track of each employee in his area. The ones that, like orientation, they have to go through orientation. If you got a good employee that's work all the time, or if you want to say some good things about your employee, you can go in there and put a little comment and everything on there. Or, if they're due for a raise, or, there's so many things, so much opportunities that you can do with old staff. I'm going to say old staff is probably that same line, but it's going to help the supervisor a whole bunch to keep track of their employees and what's going on with their area and what's going on with the employee, because it's going to make life a lot better for the supervisors and it's going to make life a lot better for the employees. So, but I've been through all that. I understand completely what you're talking about because, but anyhow, I think I haven't really looked at all the staff yet, but I know that the staff is going to be a lot better and it's going to keep track of the employees a lot better, and it's going to make the supervisor's job or the management job a lot easier to keep track of the employees out there on the floor or in the hospital, whatever, but it's going to make their life a lot easier. And the employees are going to feel a lot better about their supervisor too, because, he's going to keep track. He's going to keep track of what's going on. He ain't going to have no mad employees. Oh, you didn't figure my time out right. That's like that all the time. You get some employee that thinks you didn't figure his time out, he's going to come over and talk to you. So
exactly.
So anyhow,
you nailed it. You nailed it, David. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I just tell you, I've been through all that, and I've done time cards for years, and I've done payroll for years. So I understand everything Sue's talking about. I understand it all. So I just thought I'd put my 2 cents on that.
That's excellent,
Thanks,
David. And you're absolutely right. The supervisor becomes the hero almost with this because, and it's all there and you're not chasing things as much. So good points. Excellent points.
Susie, just on that, while David was talking, about, logging in and logging out of, or can't remember what it's exactly called, your time sheets and
Chronos,
things like that.
Yeah.
So what do you see the benefit? Because I know I heard Chris Johnson talk about it once about, sometimes they have them situated within a building where they have to walk to be able to say, clock on, clock off sort of thing. So is there much around that you could sort of discuss about,
well, let me say
those
something
benefits?
Let me say
Go
on
ahead,
the Chronos.
David.
Now, on the Chronos was like paperwork, like time cards, and it was just like Chronos, just like time cards, but except for Chronos, it was already printed out on a piece of paper. Then you had to go through there, and it didn't go into the computer. It was automatically printed out, where you had to go in there and correct it and all that stuff. Now today, they got their little, like a credit card or whatever, they swipe it, and it goes through the computer, and you got the main person, like the payroll person, they keep track of all that. But the Chronos, that's when they decided to change from time cards to Chronos. But you still had to go in there and go and correct that individually, because that you had to make everybody happy. If you didn't mess up on their time or something like that on the Chronos, like I said, it's a mess. But now, now they got everybody, they swipe a card, but you got some people might swipe in late, you might swipe in, or they might punch in too early because you got a grace time. Because if you punch in too early, then they might dock you on that time because you punched in late or you punched in too early, and you don't want to do that. You don't want to lose your time. So, but what's great about it now is that I don't know how the old staff is going to work. I know it's probably going to be a little bit cheaper. Like you were saying, Susie, they have to pay a price for every employee, but if they get it in one big package, it might be a lot cheaper, and that's where own staff is going to be a lot better because a lot of companies already have that right now where they punch in and out with a credit card, like a credit card. I can't tell punch-in card, but like I say, old staff might have a better deal, have a better offer for big companies And
Yeah.
that
David,
might
I
work out
also-
really fine.
Sorry, Susie.
That's okay.
David, I also was thinking that they were punching in with their mobile phones, you know, so the IP tracker or, you know, O tracker, sorry, would
Mhm.
know where they are and what
Yeah,
time
exactly.
they're, and, you know,
Yeah.
facial recognition or whatever
Yeah.
to know that they are
That's
where they
probably,
should
that's
be.
probably the next step. They're gonna go by
Yeah.
face representation.
Yeah,
you know.
I think there'll be a variety of ways, and this is just me thinking
Yeah.
off the top of my head, that there'll be an opportunity that you can sign in through your phone to
Yeah.
punch in with facial recognition.
Now,
Also
there-
understanding that there may be facilities, because most
Yeah.
places do have time clocks where,
Yeah.
like David said, they swipe or it's a touch, you know, with their finger or recognition.
Mm.
But also it depends on the organization,
Yeah.
how they have people. A lot of them would sign in on a computer. But I think what you were referring to, as far as what Chris Johnson may have been saying, is, yeah, there's people that they have to walk all the way down there to punch in, and then they stop and they're like yapping with somebody and then getting to the job. That's always going to be a constant thing in any business, you know, where your employees are punching in and out. But I think there'll be different options depending on the business. Like I said, either they'll use their cell phones or there'll be a computer where they come in and they face
Yeah.
recognition. It knows that they're there if they don't have a computer or a cell phone.
Yeah, a lot of
Yeah,
times
thanks,
they've got a
Susie.
computer out on the floor and they just punch in on the computer, so.
Yeah, yeah.
Thanks, David. Appreciate your question and your sharing today, because I know that it's, you know, that little bit extra sometimes that people pick up on different things when they hear different people talk about, you know, their experiences within that, those situations. So I'm going to go
Right.
over now to our next hand up, Robert from Sydney in Australia. Robert, do you have a question or something you'd like to share?
Not particularly, but I'd just like to thank Susie for coming on and spending time with us. It's a tremendous presentation. But one thing I'd like to ask you, when you were with Ash, you said you would like to test it. Have you had a chance to test it yourself?
No.
You saw, yeah.
No, yeah, I would like to, and I just know that I went in and had looked at a few things myself and Red Redfern, and also Janet Butler, who is in the Bahamas. She does a lot of HR within a business, and what we realized that there were certain fields that were kind of geared more towards India. So Ash and his team are aware of that. So right now have not fully tested that yet, but I believe he does have other companies, the third eye, as he says. The first eye is his team, then us the second. So I'm seeing more of a trend, and I'm not sure, you know, how accurate I am with this, but I think he's using other companies and businesses to do a lot of the beta testing as well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to see it full-fledged, but haven't been able to play with it. Just that day looking and playing around myself.
Terrific. Well, thanks very much for that.
Oh, thank you for your kind words too. It's my pleasure to be here.
Thank you, Robert. Appreciate that. Okay, Tony, I see you have your hand up. Tony Monk, if you'd like to unmute, please.
Hi, Tony.
Hi, thank you, Narelle. Hi, Susie. Thank you so much for being here.
Good to
You're a
see
wonderful
you,
person.
Tony. Thank you.
Thank you for
too.
everything you do.
Sorry, Tony. Thank you. Just before you go ahead, I just want to make sure that you knew that this was a guest webinar today.
Yes, I'm
so
familiar with that now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Susie, for everything that you do. We appreciate it.
Oh,
very
you're
much
welcome.
So. You look beautiful
too.
tonight.
You too, Tony. You
Thank
do a lot of stuff.
I wanted to ask you a
founders.
question, Susie, and this is what I heard. For certain companies that are going to be using the platform, we already have an human resources platform called, obviously, right? It's an amazing platform. I heard that some of the companies that actually get the platform are going to be able to get into the to customize whatever it is that they need to customize for their business. Am I correct on that, Susie?
Yes, they will have access to the cPanel. So this is my understanding that, and I love saying that way I'm clear. If I said it's my understanding or my belief, I think Ash did that so that the product looks like it belongs to the company,
Right.
so that it's not ONPASSIVE staff. It's like Susie McCrae Corporation, you know, and that maybe have my logo and different things that we can customize to my business. So yes, you're absolutely right. They will have access to the cPanel. I don't know all of the details to that, but yes. So if it's a company that does have maybe an IT department to help them or whatever, and they would be able to customize it, not have to go through a vendor. Yeah.
That's absolutely amazing. Again, thank you so much, Susie, for everything you do. It's great.
Oh, you're welcome. You too, Tony. I know
Thank
you do a lot of great things for training the founders. We appreciate you too.
Absolutely. And I think you're fine with the cPanel. I've used cPanels before. And I think, you know, when you talk about that, it's going to be available for that business, the cost saving there, because most of the time you'll find with the cPanel, you have to actually pay somebody who runs that cPanel for you to come in and change anything. It could be a color, it could be the logo, it could be a spelling mistake, it could be something within there that needs to be done. Having total control of your own cPanel enables you to be able to produce and change things instantly rather than waiting 24 hours or 2 hours or somebody to be able to fix it. I tell you, having control of your own cPanel is huge. And the cost savings just for not having to get somebody to fix things, in a sense, is huge savings. Huge savings.
Absolutely. So, yep.
Yeah. Okay, Tina, come on down.
Hi, Tina.
Hey, hello everyone. Good, happiest morning from sunny Singapore. It's cloudy today, but it's lovely. Susie, I love your awesome, phenomenal, in-depth explanation of what OStaff is giving us, coming from an HR practitioner and someone who's gone through a painful transition from legacy to a built-in a so-called corporate HR platform. It's crazy. So I just would like to understand even more with regards to OStaff. You're mentioning that it is an integrated platform with all of the HR functions in it. So payroll, timesheets, and even employee engagement kind of thing, because I think Connect is also inside, so that the town halls can be done as well. And wow, that is really phenomenal. So I'm just wondering if, you know, with small micro businesses could actually just pick up a few of those suites and pay less rather than the whole OStaff platform, but sort of taking things that they need at the moment before they actually jump in the future to have the whole slew of the HR functional models or modules. Yeah.
You know, I'm not sure about the packages and how that's going to look. I know originally a while back, Ash had thought about different levels of OStaff. I think there was like for smaller businesses and then like the bigger package, but now it's just the one product. So I can't really tell you definitely, you know, how that would be. But what I do know is that the price point for it, with everything else that is integrated, I think any company now with even a handful of employees is paying that amount to manage their employees, if not more, every month, and they don't have to use all of the features. And just what you were talking about, like town hall meetings and all of that. I know a lot about employee engagement too.
Yeah.
I used to do that when I was in HR. You know, they used to call it employee satisfaction back then,
Yeah.
but employee engagement. You know, but think about, and I think I may have said this, but I'm just going to repeat it. Just think about now, any one of you out there who have ever worked in a business or have been a manager or an employee or in human resources. Communication is huge. And think about, you need to get in touch with an employee who may be off-site or not exactly where you are, or they're busy with a patient or a customer or something else. How do you get a hold of them? You know, a lot of times it's through company email, or there's a text message, or, you know, then you're interrupting them. Then that employee needs to go somewhere and look to see who's trying to get a hold of them. And it could be something urgent. It could be about a meeting. It could be about a change in something. It could be a broadcast coming from the company. And now, when that employee knows that everything is right there in ONPASSIVE, in OStaff, under one umbrella, remember there's going to be a way for employees to communicate to each other's in groups under that, where Ash had explained that depending on where you were in the company, if you had a group of employees and they were on your team, you could set up communication with them in ONPASSIVE, in OStaff, so that you can send a message to everyone or individually, and they could send messages back and forth, because the communication is so key. I think sometimes we over communicate and people aren't sure, and you say, well, I texted you. Well, I didn't have my phone. Well, I sent you an email. And the wasted time of trying to get a hold of people, knowing that it's one place where it's a single sign on, and they're going to know if someone's got a message for them, if there's a meeting, if there's been a change. They don't have to say, oh, wait, let me go sign into my mail and then let me go to my calendar and let me change that meeting. And then, oh, now I have to go to the webinar platform and then change the time and the meeting and then add someone there. Instead, it's all right there. So you go probably drag and drop. The other thing I wanted to mention too is, think about when you're reviewing an employee, or you're having a good review with an employee, or you're having someone who maybe not be performing or there are issues, to be able to look and drag and drop different things from OStaff, like their attendance, where you can just take a graph of how, like, God, they're on time all the time. They haven't called out sick. To be able to just pull that into their performance appraisal and have a visual as you're reviewing it. Or if you're struggling, an employee struggling and you want to help them, you can pull information and say, you know, we're having issues in this area, or these were your goals. It's so much better than you're flinging around papers, you're writing down notes, you know, you're going to have it all there where you can create a visual for the employee.
Yes, thank you so much. I truly believe that communication is key in every aspect of businesses, and having that direct, so the routing is very important in the system, and that you as the owner to be able, like you said, to drag and drop what you need at that moment. It's so key, yeah, in terms of urgency and everything, especially in crisis management.
Right, exactly. And I want to comment, Narelle, too, on something you mentioned in your business about going through all those applications. Now, I'm guessing, so don't quote me on this, but I'm guessing that this hire, okay, that I don't know really much about, but imagine if you get applications coming in and you have artificial intelligence helping go through these applications. You know, I used to have a trained eye looking at applications, looking at key things that I wanted to see, but you're right, you go through and then you're like, oh, who is that person? What, you know, to be able to maybe have a system that you put in keywords that you want it to filter out or whatever for you. Maybe that already exists now, but I can just see that working as a benefit. So now you get 100 applicants for a position. You've narrowed it down to your, you know, your top 10. And then you can start your interviewing process. And then 6 months from then, you need to hire that same position again for a different reason or whatever. And you want to look through those applications again. They're there, and maybe you can use artificial intelligence again to help sort and filter out who you're looking for. You may not even have to post the job again. You may already have a qualified candidate amongst those applicants. I used to have to do that sometimes when I wasn't getting applications in for a certain position. I would go back in the system, and it was so tedious trying to hunt and peck for, okay, it was very, very frustrating. So I can just see AI really working, and, you know, ONPASSIVE is loaded with artificial intelligence, and let that do the work for you.
And again, saving time, you know, that's the big deal here. You know, when you're sort of actively involved in your business, small, medium or large, the last thing that you want to do is have to go through, sit down, go over it. I mean, there are times when you have to do that. Absolutely. You know, when you've got to do the process and hire somebody. But you talk about, you know, all of those applications to be kept on file. And I know that a lot of people say that here in Australia. I know that, you know, people who've put in applications have got the response of, you didn't get the position this time, your application will be kept on file. And then I know of people that don't actually, they just delete them all and, you know, start again as a fresh process. You know, why wouldn't you keep those? Because, you know, if you've got 100 applicants for 2 positions, surely to goodness there was somebody missed in there, you know, that could have been much better. And maybe AI will be able to support that by putting in those keywords and having that available to you, so that the end process, because I wouldn't even go down to the top 10 in that situation, I'd probably go down to the top 6 and then take it from there, and then still even just tighten it up so you're down to those last 2 or 4, so that you're choosing, say, from 4 people, 2 people from 4, the last 4 left. So like I said, one went through fantastic. The other one, you know, basically slipped through even my own. So had I have had that application to use to say, put in keywords, she may have still got through perhaps, but more than likely not. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
exactly. And think about Narelle and everyone, just even up another level. So when I was managing doctors' practices, I had like 6 of them managing them. I'd say I was looking for a medical assistant for one of the practices, and I went through the applications, narrowed it down, blah, blah, blah. Then one of my colleagues who managed other practices, and they were looking for someone in another location, they would be posting their job, and they'd say, hey, Susie, do you have any good applicants, or what do you get? So it was so siloed. I would be, you know, getting mine in, and then my friend Terry would be getting hers in, and then we'd have to find a way to share them, because I couldn't log in as her to look at her applications. So we would print out, and we would sit and we would share, so that I could help her maybe hire someone. But if she was in a specialty practice that had different requirements, you know, trying to filter those.
A lot of that comes down to Privacy Act as well. You know, the Privacy Act, you know, like if you're able to sort of share throughout your back office, it saves a lot of those Privacy Act. Oh, such and such, found my through here and there, and somebody sent her the information, but I didn't really want to work there. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah, exactly.
So
Exactly.
it has to come down to a Privacy Act as well. And it really is important, I think, to know that the integration is what's going to work here. This is what the big one is for me. What I see is integration. It doesn't matter what you want to use in ONPASSIVE, it will integrate with something, whether it be like today we've spoken about O-Staff, O-Connect, O-Academy, all of those things are going to be integrated. There are so many different platforms within the ONPASSIVE business. As a founder to come in today, you're going to have access to that. It costs approximately 136 to 140 Australian dollars to become a founder within a business that is going to do it for you 100%. Yes, you have to stay plugged in. Yes, this becomes your business. Okay, even if you don't have a business, this ONPASSIVE becomes your business and they go to work for you. So becoming a founder today is going to not only have you out there like Susie, it's so exciting to know that we're a founder, founding member of ONPASSIVE. It's going to be out there. It's going to be the internet quake, the internet quake. It's going to, people are going to stand up and want to know, what is this all about, when you may have told them over the last, 2.5, 3 years, and they didn't listen because they were too scared, too overwhelmed, too worried. There are many out there who are like that, whether you're in Australia, New Zealand, whether you come in from overseas, people are afraid. In New Zealand, it'll cost you about 145, 148 New Zealand dollars to become a founder. And then that once out of pocket payment, that is there. If you don't see the value in that alone, to not only be a founder, but to have only to pay once out of pocket, and then those monthly subscriptions come out of your profits, then like Marty says, you need to go and, find a shovel or something.
Shovel or dig a hole. Yeah,
dig a hole, because you need to look at this on a very simple, the tools that are available. We'll never understand each and every one of them. We aren't the genius that's put them together. We're not the IT tech people, and that's the benefit of becoming a founder and then ONPASSIVE going to work for you, because you don't have to know any of that. You don't have to be an IT tech person. You don't even have to know anything about any of the platforms. You just have to know how to log into your back office, stay connected, have a look at those, share it with those people that you might know that are in business, share it with those that are just friends, let them see a part of what is available to them. Just all they need to do is go and have a look at onpassive.com, and they'll see 20 of the products that are becoming available to us. If they see it, they will see it. Okay. If they don't, and they will come in as customers and resellers. They will not, we do not push or pull anybody, because we don't have to sell and recruit. That's why this is family. We're not dog eat dog. We're not forcing each other to, hey, you got to do this, you got to do that. But while the door is still slightly open, right, there is the opportunity to get a few more people or share it with a few more people to change their lives. Because this is about changing lives. Sorry, bit emotional on that. Anyway, Susie, I'll take it over to Yvonne just for a minute, because I know Yvonne will probably want to share if there are any questions also in the chat box, and then we'll come back to you, Susie.
Yeah, I need to follow up soon, if that's okay. And
we're just going to call it.
One thought. Yeah.
Yeah, no, we're getting there.
Thank you so much, Susie. That was an amazing presentation from you, Susie. Always great to have you on here. We are very, very grateful to you, and we do appreciate your time. So we will call it a wrap. But if anyone's watching, if you're live streaming this and watching this, please, if you have a business and you want time freedom, you want good productivity, time with your family, and have a business that's going to run smooth, you need to be a founder in this company. So that's all I'm going to
Exactly.
say. I just wish I had this when I had my hair salon, because this would have made my life easier. I could have had more time instead of sitting there at the desk for hours after I closed to do all the, follow-ups, not just the follow-ups, but everything else. Although I did have a system, it cost me a fortune. But thank you so much. And we really do appreciate you, Susie.
Yeah.
And
you're more than welcome. And I just want to end with, I talked about staff today. Okay, I didn't even talk about the business of ONPASSIVE and being a founder and how beneficial that is to everybody. But I think if you understand the magnitude of staff, the product, and what it's going to do for businesses around the globe, you need to come in as a founder, because the company is going to be marketing this product out there, and companies are going to start buying these products, and the customers and the businesses buying them are going to fall under all of us as founders, and we're going to earn commissions. So this is a huge, huge, one of the best, hugest products we have in ONPASSIVE. Go to onpassive.com. You can read all about the other ones, like Narelle said. I only talked about staff because I'm excited about it, but realistically, that product is going to bring in a lot of revenue for ONPASSIVE. And who's going to benefit from the revenue? The founders, because we're locked in, and ONPASSIVE is doing the work, marketing these products for us. But it's a product that businesses are going to buy, love, and they're not going to leave. So the revenue is going to continue coming in, and we're founders, and we're going to share. The CEO is gracious enough to be sharing the revenue with all of us. So
thank you, Susie.
I loved being here. You are all so kind. Great questions. Invite me back if you want again. That would be great.
Thank you, Susie. Appreciate your time. And I'm just going to quote Marty DeGamo. For the first time in your life, you're going to be, you have asked to be a founder. You're sitting in those positions of founder positions. And for the first time in your life, those people, those big businesses, those who could have afford thousands of dollars to become a founder, that's not what Ash wanted. He wanted you, everyday people like you and me, to be the founders. And those people will fall under us, and we will, bring in those apples, because one of the things that Ash says is he wanted to change or bring the balance back to humanity. Okay, so take that away with you today. Share with whoever you can. Always be, connected with those who are in ONPASSIVE, because right now we need positive people around us. Everything that's going on in the world creates overwhelm, creates fear. So stay strong, be careful wherever you go, support each other and show love. So thank you, Susie. Once again, we appreciate it. I'm just going to finish the recording, and then we'll say goodbye. And
fantastic, Susie. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was wonderful, Susie. Thank you so much.
Yes,
thank you, Susie. Thank you.
Good job, Susie. Good job.
Wait for
Bye,
all
guys.
staff.
Thank you
Bye,
so
guys.
much.